today, what I want to talk to you guys about is Echad. Echad, that's right, Echad. And a very closely related word to that, Chodesh. A lot of times, Chodesh is translated as new moon, but it is also translated as month. So it could say on the 23rd of the month, the 23rd of the Chodesh, or it could say it was on the Chodesh, which would then be translated as on the new moon. So the word Chodesh is made up of a Chet, a Dalet, and a Shin. And it can mean to renew, restore, repair, reaffirm, to renew oneself, recent, fresh, and new. Every time new moon is used in the Tanakh, the word is Chodesh, 100% of the time. Whenever you see it translated as new moon, it's important to recognize that moon is typically in italics. Whenever a word is added to the text, the translators attempt to put it into italics to let you know that they added the word. So when you see the word Chodesh translated as new moon, moon is always in italics. Chodesh comes from the root Chad, Chet and Dalet, Chad, which means to unite. And there are other words that we're going to get to as well. But it is the same as Echad, which is the number one. It is first, it is together, time, occurrence, and sharp sword. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Yahweh is one, okay? So it means united together. The Chet and the Dalet in Paleo Hebrew, the pictographic Hebrew, means to unite. And the Chet is symbolized by a wall, okay? So the Chet represents a wall and the Dalet represents a door. So we have a wall and a door. Chad, and it means to unite. So the wall unites those who are inside. It is a wall that separates the inside from the outside, and only through the door can one enter or exit, uniting the outside with the inside. It is a uniting together. So the word Chad means to unite in the sense of those who are outside come through the door to be united with those in the wall. That's very important because Yeshua says, I am the door. John 10:9, Yeshua says, I am the door. Whoever enters through me, he shall be saved and shall go in and go out and find pasture. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, Yeshua said, enter through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction. There are many who enter through that gate, because the gate is narrow and the way is hard pressed, which leads to life. There are few who find it. So this is important stuff. When we are Echad, we are united. We are one. Okay? And Chodesh holds that meaning. Chodesh holds that meaning of being united. So when there's a Chodesh, everybody is on the same page. Everybody is united as one. But if your new moon is different from that guy's new moon, and that guy's new moon, and that group's new moon, and this group's new moon, and all these different new moons all over the place. Guess what? You are not Echad. Yeshua said, to you it has been given to know the secrets of Elohim, but to the rest in parables, that seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not understand. You see, Yeshua liked to speak in parables. And a parable is a story that brings unity between the hearer and the listener. But the actual meaning is not understood, so it can cause a division between the two, separating those outside from those inside. A parable can draw people through the door into the inner sanctuary. Draw people through the door into the walls of the city. Or it can leave people outside. And only by coming through the door can you be united with what's inside. So only those who hear and understand are those who will be drawn inside. Luke chapter 13 verse 24 says, strive through the narrow gate, because many, I say to you, shall seek to enter in and not be able. Revelation 22, 14 and 15 says, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they might have right to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates into the city. Outside are the dogs, and those who enchant with drugs, the pharmakia, and those who whore, the pornos, and murderers, and idolaters, and all who love and do falsehood. When you enter through the gate, when you are united, you are in the kingdom, and they cannot enter in who don't understand what the Chodesh is. You cannot enter into the kingdom. But Yeshua said, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Repent is that word nacham. Nacham, to feel truly sorrowful and to change your ways. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. At hand is in the Greek the same word that is used in the prophet Isaiah when he says, these people draw near to me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. When they say it is at hand, it means in Greek that it's drawn near, it's close. But this word in Isaiah that they use the same Greek word for in the Septuagint, where it says, these people have drawn near to me. These people have drawn near to me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. When it says drawn near, it is the word nagash. The word means to draw near in the sense of intimate relationship, as in a husband drawing near to his wife to make love intimately. There are other words that have chad in them as well. You may have heard of them, like chadasha, as in brit chadasha, new covenant. There is cheder, room, a chamber, a bedroom, a shrine, the chamber of the belly, the innermost parts. Kind of like a bride who is drawn into the cheder of the bridegroom's chamber. Chada or chadua, which means delight and joy. This idea of Chodesh is related to delight, joy. There is chedek, which is briar, thorns. All right, so we have this really cool understanding of the word Chodesh and how it can mean unite right? Chodesh means to unite, and it literally means to enter through a gate that is surrounded by a wall. And the sheen in the Chodesh, by the way, means to tear apart. So the Chodesh separates those inside from those outside, okay? And it unites them. And it's related to these words chadasha, cheder, which means a room or a chamber, a bedroom, the innermost parts. It's like the inner room where the groom brings his bride. And it means things like delight, joy. And it's a hedge. It can be a briar of thorns around. Right? The thorns that encircle something, like almost like a crown of thorns, you could say. So when he says repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, it means that the kingdom of heaven is drawing near to you in an intimate way. That the Father wants you to be Echad with him. He wants to draw you into his cheder, into his inner chamber. Revelation 3:7 and Isaiah 22:22. These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David, he that opens and no one shuts, he that shuts and no one opens. That door that we're talking about. I'm going to talk about the moon for a minute. The Yerach. In Hebrew, it is moon. It is the moon god. It's sometimes translated as month, as in a lunar month. 1 Kings chapter 6 verses 37 and 38 says, in the moon of Zeph, in the moon of Bul, and in the moon of Ethanim. These are moons that are named, Babylonian names. The moons are named. You can read that also in 1 Kings chapter 8. In Ezra, the moon months are named, and the Chodesh are numbered. In Nehemiah and Esther, the Chodesh begin to be named as well as numbered. They begin to call the Chodesh the names that they gave to the moon. Jeremiah and Ezekiel always use Chodesh for months, and they're always numbered rather than named. The Yerach are named, the Chodesh are numbered. Yerach meaning moon, Chodesh meaning renewed, united, drawn into the inner chamber through the gate. 3 shepherds I also cut off in one moon, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Zechariah 11:8. Zechariah uses Chodesh 5 times for month, and uses Yerach 1 time. Zechariah names and numbers the Chodesh in Zechariah 1:7. But in chapter 7, he only numbers them. What we have here is early on in the scriptures, we have this idea of the Chodesh. And the Chodesh are numbered. When we go into the Babylonian captivity, we begin to see the Chodesh numbered alongside the Yerach, which are named. And soon we begin to see this fusion of the Chodesh being named with the names of the Yerach. And so what begins to happen is pretty soon the Chodesh becomes known as the new moon. But it is not. The Chodesh is not the new moon. New moon is used 1 time in the Greek New Testament, and that is Colossians 2:16. That word in the Greek, by the way, is pneumania, and it is new moon, translated as new moon, and is a combination of two words. The first one being neos, like new, fresh, young, and the other one is men, which means month. So it is literally new month. There's other words that include men, month, and one of those is tetramenos. Okay, so that would be 4 months. Another time it occurs as trimenos, that is 3 months. Okay, not necessarily 3 moons, but 3 months. And so when we have new mania, it is literally new month. There is a word in Greek that means moon, and that is Selena. In the Septuagint, that is the Greek translation of the Old Testament, moon is always translated as Selena. Month is translated as men. And new mania is always translated as new moon. It would literally be new Selena if it was new moon rather than new mania. New mania is new month. Chodesh has to do with cycles of the sun. We've come out of Roman sun worship and we've rejected the sun in favor of the moon. The sun is part of the creation as well. And the sun and the moon were created on the same day at the same time. On the 4th day. That day, which is the door. Dalet, the 4th letter, represents the number 4 as well. First Chodesh of the year, we start it on the 4th day of the week, the door. The first Sabbath of the year lands on a door. I'm grateful that our Father in heaven gave us this creation. I'm grateful to Him that He made us. He made us and He made the earth, and I'm grateful for His Shabbat, because the Shabbat is part of creation. So the Sabbath was the 7th day of creation, and it was made for you. And Sabbath is a sign between you, the B'nai El-Chai, and El-Chai himself. You, the children of the living God, and the living God, Abba Yahweh, Yahava, Adonai El Shaddai. It is a sign that you are His people, and He is your Elohim. The priestly calendar is based on 364 days in a year, 52 weeks in a year. Easily divisible by 7. 364 divided by 7 is 52. 52 divided by 4. There are 4 quarters in the year. One calendar, folks, to unite His people. There's only one calendar. There is not a crescent moon calendar. There is not a lunar conjunction calendar. There's not a full moon calendar. There's not a lunar calendar at all. The moon plays a role. No doubt about that. But it's not what you think. It is cold. It's kind of like snowing. The wind is blowing off the lake. I'm going to